Just want to start off by saying thank you to this church, to Messiah Church, for allowing us to come here and have this beautiful service. I want to thank all of you guys on behalf of my family for attending. We want to thank Dr. Cuovo and all the doctors and all the nurses that showed him just amazing care. And especially all the people that prayed for my family, for my grandfather, for my grandmother, my mother, my father, just everyone, we just thank you. Just out of respect for my grandfather, I know most of you guys probably never met him, didn't know what he looked like until now, but just wanted to share his story a little bit. I didn't know him that well too long ago, so for our family, my dad's side was the A grandparents, where we see them more often, so I didn't see my grandmother and my grandfather too often, just until a couple of years ago. The man that I knew before, when I was a child, is a different man than I know today. The only memory I have of him as a child was my mom and dad dropped me off at their apartment, and the only thing I remember was he was angry, and he chased me around like a couch, and I hid behind the couch, and I was like screaming. I was scared. I don't know why I was scared. I don't know why he was yelling, but he was. And the more scared I got, the more angry he got, so it didn't make sense. But that's all I remember of him, was a face of just anger, just very emotional. He's a very simple man, but he's very complicated, and in his emotions, he really did care about what people thought about him, but at the same time, he loved being around people. So he was a simple man, nothing extraordinary, but just a couple years ago, I got to know him better. I got to know my grandparents better because they were trying to be citizens of the United States. So I would study with him, and their English is pretty good. And we would study all the time, and I would see him, we would have dinner. And more and more I spent time with him, I realized that my perception of how I saw him was completely off, and it was more than just a burden of being with family. That with family, we are obliged to love one another. With family, you have to love, and it's hard to like sometimes, but he was a character. He wasn't always easy to get along with. He would just say some weird stuff that wouldn't make sense, but more and more as the time I spent with him, I was able to see that he just loves loving people. He just loves being around people. And January of last year, he had pneumonia, and so we rushed him to the hospital, and so we just thought it was a pretty bad case of the pneumonia. And then later on, it turns out later that June of that year, we found out that he had lung cancer, stage 4, and initially he was upset. He didn't know he had lung cancer, especially the stage 4, where it's fatal, no turning back. But he was a trooper, he was a warrior, and he just wanted to fight. And we got radiation, we got chemotherapy, and so every week I would see him, and then we were able to spend some time together, laugh together, just eat together. And to the point where he just loves being around people. Anytime I would take him to the doctor's office up in Gallows, he would wear really nice suits, he would wear nice hats, he would wear nice belts, he would wear nice shoes, and he would tell me that how expensive it was, but like I didn't believe him because he says a lot of weird things, but he just wanted to brag about how nice his clothes was. And I was very curious why he dressed so well. And so we went to the doctor's office, and our doctor, Dr. Cuovo, again, thank you for all that you do, all that you did. And that office was 99% all ladies, all girls. And so he was born on Valentine's Day, 2/14. And so he can't say much in English, but he always say, I was born on Valentine's Day, Day of Love, and he would smile at them. And so he just has this a love to be around people. And I remember my fondest moment with my grandfather it was Christmas, this past Christmas, a couple of months ago. And so it's out of thank you, he wanted to buy cupcakes, buy cake, and just give gifts to all the nurses, to the doctors, even the valet people at Nova Hospital. That's just the kind of guy he was. And I remember I just picked him up from his apartment, and then we went to the doctor's office. We bought dozens and dozens of cupcakes, and it was really cool. And all the nurses gathered around, took pictures, and they just thanked us. And they would be so kind to my grandfather, and that just really warmed my heart. And at one point, they just want to take a picture with my grandfather, and so we got all the nurses together, and then he sat there, and he doesn't know how to smile, but he just stood there, and we took a picture. And it turned out that picture was blurry. So later on, after his treatment, the nurses came back, and they're like, "Oh, can we take another picture?" And so we took a picture again, but this time I've never seen my grandfather smile that hard before, and so he just loves being around people, especially ladies. Don't tell my grandma. She doesn't understand a word I'm saying right now. But he just loves being around people, and even though I said he was an extraordinary, he was a simple man, but spending time with him, and even through cancer, even going through the process, it wasn't the pain, it wasn't the struggle, it wasn't the cancer that allowed him to grow, allow him to even soften up. It was him being able to just receive love, be able to receive love from the doctors, from the family, and it truly transformed his heart. And so, as the pastor said before me, that the pastor went to his house the day that he passed on Sunday, and he asked him, "Do you believe in Christ?" And he said immediately, "Yes." And at that time, the past couple of weeks, he was really weak. He couldn't speak much, and when he did speak, it wasn't coherent at all. But he understood, and he said, "Yes, I do believe in Christ." And it's ironic because a couple of months before that, I asked him, "Do you believe in Christ?" And it took me a lot to ask him if he believed in Christ, because I didn't want to make him angry. I didn't want to make things weird, and I just lacked boldness at that time. But one day, I asked him, "Do you believe in God?" And he said, "I don't know." He said he just prays before he eats, but that's about it. And then a few months later, his condition was getting worse. We just knew that time was lacking, but I asked him again, "Do you believe in Christ?" And he said, "Yes," confidently. And I can't explain what it was, but it was just him being able to receive love, and he knows that love was from Christ. The love that he received from his family, the love that he received from all of you guys that even prayed for him, that never met him, but just prayed for him. Prayer is powerful. Love is powerful. And his life is a testimony of how people can change and how people can transform if you just receive love. And the good news says that God offers his love to us anytime, all the time, consistently and persistently. And if you think of my grandfather, if you think about this whole process, just be reminded that God does love you, and that God can change anybody. And I just want to share and close with just one verse from James, chapter 1, verse 2 and 4. "Consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." And through all these trials that he went through the pain, he lost 40 pounds, he lost energy, but through it all, he gained so much more. He gained love, he gained confirmation, and I know that he's in heaven smiling down right now upon all of us, and he just wants to thank you because he just loves being around people. And I'm just so overjoyed and overcome with such happiness. That's why this is not a sad moment. This is a joyous celebration of life, of love, and for sure he's not lacking anything. So I just thank you for coming, and I just thank you just for able to pray with us, to be with us, and I encourage you to continue to love. If you're able to love, continue to give if you're able to give, but more than anything else, just continue to receive God's love. Thank you.